Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner at 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! Boy, that's good stuff, folks. If you've never had them, give them a shot. And tell them the circus sent you. Maybe you'll get an extra 5 or 10% off. Don't really know. You have to ask them. All right. Welcome in, everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and our independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, and WOW Cable TV. Thanks for joining us also on Hotel TV in over 600,000 rooms from coast to coast, as we're told. And of course, everybody's streaming on Chicago Food Facebook, on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Of course, we get that was a nice punch for me, a nice round of applause for everybody that's also on Chicago Food Favorites. And by the way, folks, if you don't know what that is, go to Facebook and just type in on top for all the groups, Chicago Food Favorites, and make sure you join and have some fun. All right. You know, we had the NFL divisional round, the schedule, the brackets and stuff. It's coming up, right? And we had an interesting last few games, if you will. There's still more football to be played, but we think about these matchups as they stand right now, and it's kind of falling into the shape that it sort of ought to right now. So with Denver losing, a very good Denver team, you know, of course, they had a great season. Bo Nix did really well, very, very well this year as a rookie. He played like a seasoned veteran, but he ran into a very, very tough Buffalo Bills team. I mean, it is what it is. And look, it didn't matter who they were playing. They were going to be really, I guess, dancing on the trap door with rusty nails on it. And so in the same way with Pittsburgh being undermanned against Baltimore really is a well-rounded team offensively, and defensively they're not bad as well. And let's face it, Pittsburgh was just outmanned. I think Pittsburgh is kind of on the downside now, and this is that time where maybe Mike Tomlin, he's not going to be looking for a new gig. No, he's going to stay there. But somehow they'll figure out a way to tool through this, and I think Russell Wilson still could be there next year because he did play fairly well. But remember, he might be a little injury prone. He's getting up there in age as well, which is sort of a problem. And certainly Justin Fields is not the answer in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to have to find themselves a regular quarterback, and there are a few guys out there available, and I think Kirk Cousins is one of those guys that may be available there, but I also believe Kirk Cousins may step in potentially to Dallas, and we're going to get to Dallas in just a little bit. And also in the other game on the AFC side, it had the Chargers losing to the Houston Texans, and the Chargers, they're not ready just yet. Maybe in a year or so, another couple of years, they're probably about 3 players away from really winning deep into the playoffs. And on the AFC side, you look and say, Jim Harbaugh's got them boys playing. You're right. But Jim Harbaugh's still missing some pieces, and they're going to fill that in over the next year or two. And watch out, maybe in a few years, those Chargers might be in the Super Bowl. Now, over on the other side of the bracket, looking at the NFC side, it was what I thought was a mismatch in the first place was Philadelphia and Green Bay. And look, Green Bay is a good road team, but they were just outmanned. And they were just roughed up. Real simple. It was a I guess it was just a backyard brawl, sort of say, in the alley or something to that effect. It maybe moved into the alley, into the street, and Philadelphia just went in and they punched Green Bay right in the face, and Green Bay never recovered. In the same light that the Washington, of course I want to call them the Redskins, the Commanders, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, what a very fun game. And I told everybody last week, I said, you know what? Instead of trying to pick a winner in this one, I said, first of all, take Washington with the points. But more importantly, this is one of those games that you just go grab a big bowl of popcorn and watch the game. And it was one of those games. It really was. And it came down to the end to a doink on the field goal or on the upright and a field goal to win the game. Washington won the game. Either team could have won the game. Baker Mayfield with a terrible mistake, fumbling the ball in his own end right around, a 10 or 11 yard line. But that was the difference in the game. But honestly, that was one of those games that either team could have won. And the line was 3 for a reason. And really, home field advantage is really worth 3 in the NFL. In this case, well, the 3 is certainly something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really needed. But it was a very entertaining game. And as you look forward in these playoffs back over to the AFC side, you say, Kansas City now is going to host a pretty good Houston Texans team. I don't really care what the odds makers say right now. When you look at these two squads, you say, Kansas City, they're probably supposed to win their 3rd Super Bowl in a row. And I actually called this right after the NFC Championship game. I said, Detroit will get back. Detroit will probably go to the Super Bowl, and they're going to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. As much as I really don't want Kansas City to win, it doesn't matter what I think, but it's just from everything that we see, Kansas City is not covered but maybe 2 times all year out of their 17 game in the regular schedule. So you could bet against them all year and still win money. And of course, they're still going to win the games. They only lost 1 game. But now they're going to play a very, very balanced Houston team in the next round. So let's just say the fix isn't in right now, if you know what I mean. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Let's just say the fix isn't in a non-fixed setup. In a non-fixed setup, I would say that maybe it would probably take, I don't know. I wouldn't really say it would take a monumental game by the Houston Texans. It's only because what they do is they play a very steady football game. They're very good on both sides of the ball. Houston can play defense for sure, and they have a lot of pieces on the offensive side. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They've got guys that can catch, big receivers. They have the pieces to be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So in a perfect world, the Chiefs could actually lose this game to the Houston Texans. Now, if you look at the other matchup in the AFC, another very good matchup. Now it's Baltimore. With their win, they are rewarded by going into Orchard Park and maybe playing in a blizzard up in Buffalo against a very, very strong defensive Buffalo team. And by the way, Baltimore fans say, well, Lamar Jackson is awfully hard to bring down. Well, guess what? Yes, he improvises. I'll give you that. But Jake, listen, Allen is that guy, he's so big. Think back to quarterbacks like Dante Culpepper, right? 250 pounds, whatever the hell he was. Big boy, huge boy. Well, Josh Allen is the same kind of guy, but a little bit better at the quarterback position. And so the one thing that Allen knows how to do that Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, doesn't seem to know how to do is throw the ball over the top of the defenders. That's a lost art. The quarterback position is a couple of things. Number one, you got to stay in the tackle box, traditionally speaking. That's what it's designed for, right? So once you get out of that protection, then you could be hit just like anybody else. And we saw that, as a matter of fact. We saw Jaden Daniels get absolutely drilled by one of the Packer defenders. And, I mean, he got his clock cleaned. I can't believe he even got up and played the next play. And so the thing is, Allen is such a big boy. He can take the hits, but he's smart, generally speaking, to stay in that tackle box, to stay in the pocket. However, when he runs, he is like a big bruising tight end. I mean, he's that big. So he is a handful for that very good Baltimore defense to bring down. And I'm not really sure that Baltimore's ready for a guy like him in the postseason. That will be one of those, again, we talked about that backyard brawl kind of a game. Buffalo and Baltimore should be one of those 17-16 kind of games, 20-17, maybe one of those. There will be field goals, maybe 23-17. I don't know, but there's going to be some field goals in this one. The over and under in that for the field goal should be 3.5. But my best guess is there will be at least 3 field goals in that game, and that's going to be one hell of a defensive struggle. Now going over to the NFC side, looking at the Washington Commanders going in to play the Detroit Lions. And now watch out, Detroit. Don't get ahead of yourselves because those guys are really good. And Washington has done one thing better than anybody else this season. They have found a way to win games when they should not have won games or it's on the brink. I have to tell you, those guys have the intangibles. People say, well, we don't really know about, and you're not going to know about it because Washington wins the gritty games, the close games, and Detroit seems to go for it on fourth down quite a bit, which actually Washington did a lot of that in their last game, so they could get back some little bit of ball control here. But I tell you, Washington is going to give Detroit everything they've got, and don't be surprised if the gambling gods are not in place. Washington can beat Detroit. Yes, you heard it here on the Sports Circus. Back here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call
714-948-0100, 714-948-0100, again, 714-948-0100.
or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio. That's AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome in everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, radio, TV. Special hello to our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the 49ers, home of the New York Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome into everybody up and down the West Coast, listening in on all of our affiliates and independents, through the heartland all the way over to Auburn, Alabama. That's WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. Big hello to our friends over in Atlanta on WDJY 99.1 FM, as well as everybody streaming on Pick Your Favorite Streamer, even those on Facebook right now, watching a personal feed, and also for Chicago Food Favorites. Make sure you check that out, folks. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And, of course, welcome to everybody on television as well. All right, keeping with the NFL, talked about the playoffs. By the way, Philadelphia, they'll win the next round. Doesn't matter who they play. So, thinking about this, the Chicago Bears are looking for a head coach. I believe they interviewed the right guy already, and that was Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll won with USC. He won in the National Football League already, but now he has a chance to go back and get a quarterback, or better yet, coach a quarterback over in Chicago that is a product of the University of Southern California. Now, it makes a little bit of sense for me, but he's also a defensive-minded coach, but he also gives the latitude for offense to do what they've got to do. And Pete Carroll, I don't care if he's 73 years old. This guy knows what he's doing. I think he is the best qualified coach to coach the Chicago Bears. And let's face it, the Bears have more Hall of Famers than any other team. In case you didn't know that, no, it's not Green Bay. It's the Chicago Bears. And the Bears need somebody to step in that can really take charge. And let's face it, I believe, in my opinion, that Virginia McCaskey, yeah, great, congratulations, you're 100 and some odd years old. Sell the damn team already! Really, sell the team. Let the team do what they do. Let the management do what it do. And I have to tell you, I'm just tired of seeing that image in the same way with the Chicago Blackhawks had the same problem with Bill Wirtz. And it rests his soul, Bill Wirtz. And when his son Rocky took over, everything changed for the Blackhawks. They won 3 cups in 5 years. 3 cups. Well, guess what? It's the Bears' turn. And the Bears proved they could beat Green Bay in the last game of the season. They went up into Green Bay. Caleb Williams went in there, found a way for the Bears to end up on the winner's side. And guess what? The Bears really need somebody to go in there and kick them in the balls, kick them in the ass, and say, let's go, boys. It's time to get it done. Pete Carroll is that guy. He's got enough fire in the belly. He chews his gum at 100 miles an hour because the guy just wants to win. I don't know of another coach that's available today. Pick your favorite organization. I don't care. Currently coaching another team or whatever. I don't know of a better guy with fire in the belly than Pete Carroll. Now, I would say Jim Harbaugh should have coached the Chicago Bears, where he did very well with the Bears as a player as well. But I have to say that Pete Carroll is the guy today that should be coaching the Bears. It's not Mike McCarthy. And, of course, the Cowboys, of course, they say, well, we're going to part ways. And the contract negotiations stall, and this is, pick your favorite one. This one's right out of Yahoo. Mike McCarthy's contract with the Dallas Cowboys ran out, and his time with the team has run its course. And McCarthy, whose contract expires after the 2024 season, won't return as Dallas's head coach next season. And, of course, as confirmed by Yahoo Sports, CBS, NBC, you name it, everybody's reported it, right? And even right here on the Sports Circus, we have our sources inside the Cowboys organization. They said the same damn thing. We all have the same story. But McCarthy, of course, well, he was the right guy, according to Jerry Jones back in the day. But now Jerry Jones, he says in a statement, quote, over the past week, Mike and I have had the opportunity to conduct a joint review of all aspects of the past season, our players and staff, and also spent considerable time discussing the road forward for the team. Prior to reaching the point of contract negotiations, though, it became mutually clear that it would be better for each of us to head in a different direction. We will commence a search and the process immediately to hire the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, why isn't Jerry just coaching the Cowboys? Because he's already I think he's the, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, president, CEO, EIEIO, I don't know, general manager. He's all that. Why don't he just coach the damn team on top of it, Jerry, and just call it a day? The reason that he went out, as I recall, when he went out and hired Mike McCarthy in the first place was why? Oh, that's right. Because Jerry's boys couldn't beat the Green Bay Packers. That's right. For some reason, he says, we can't beat them, so let's go ahead and join them, and let's get that guy over here to coach our guys, so if we run into them in the postseason, then we can go ahead and beat them, because he knows how to beat them. Well, maybe he knows how to beat them, but what about the balance of the league? No! Of course not! Because if that were the case, he would have already done that, and he'd be in the postseason right now, wouldn't he? Well, Dak Prescott's hurt. Dak Prescott, let me tell you something, folks. In case you don't know, just in case you don't know, well, Dak Prescott, a decent property, right? A decent prospect coming out of Mississippi State University. Well, guess what? Dak Prescott comes from what? A defensive organization. At Mississippi State, if you go back to when Dak was there, I mean, historically, they've been good on defense. But you've got a guy that is playing the quarterback position on a defensive squad. All he's got to do is manage the game. In the National Football League, you're going to do more than just manage the game. Now, he can throw the ball downfield. And, of course, Jerry gave him a big contract. He paid him. And, yeah, he was close to, I guess, that MVP race, whatever. Big deal. How many Super Bowls does he have? I'll wait and hear what your input is. All right, that would be the big fat nothing. He has nothing. And so what did Jerry get out of all those, who knows, hundreds of millions of dollars at this point? He got the big fat zero. And lucky for Jerry, that stadium, that whatever the name of it is now, I don't know, AT&T Stadium, luckily for him, the stadium alone makes, last reported, I think it was $500 million a year. $500 million.
Show me the money!
That is a large amount of money. And so what's Dallas going to do now? Where are they going to go with this? Well, they can't take Vrabel. Vrabel was already taken by the New England Patriots. Well, that was kind of the easy one. And so who's out there? Who is available? Well, Matt Eberflus is available, of course. He can go there. But then again, there's a few other guys. And Ron Rivera might be the guy over in Dallas. Ron Rivera could be the next Dallas coach because he's already coached against Jerry and the boys and did pretty okay against those guys too. So maybe Ron Rivera from the Washington Redskins, of course I always want to call him that instead of the Commanders, but nonetheless, Ron Rivera may be the guy. I don't necessarily believe that John Gruden will be the guy, although John Gruden does have a place in the NFL, just not right now. And who else is available? Yeah, there was that guy that's been looking at the, I want to say Oakland Raiders. I want to say LA Raiders. I want to say Oakland Raiders. And I want to say Las Vegas Raiders. No, and that would be, of course, Pete Carroll as well. Tom Brady and the boys want him to come to Vegas and coach the Raiders. Don't think that's going to be the spot. The bigger question is what's available for Jerry Jones. I mean, look, the list, I wouldn't say it's limitless, but there are some guys. How about Doug Peterson? Doug Peterson knows how to beat the Dallas Cowboys, and he just got canned from Jacksonville. And he was with Philadelphia, and he won a Super Bowl there. So something tells me that Peterson also could be the guy. But I happen to believe if there was a coin flip between Rivera and Peterson, it probably would be Rivera Not because, well, hey, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but I think he's more of a player's coach. And the players' coaches seem to do a little bit better. Peterson's a little bit more hard-nosed, and I kind of like him. And you know who else would be a good fit over there? You can laugh at me right now if you will, but I really believe that if Jerry gave Urban Meyer the shot, Urban Meyer would be a very good coach for the Dallas Cowboys because he's got a lot of players to work with right now. Some injured, some not, but they have a lot of pieces there. The defense, well, they need somebody that can handle the defense, and Ron Rivera would check the defensive box for sure. Doug Peterson would check the defensive box for sure. Pete Carroll is a defensive coach in the first place, but he's not the right guy in Dallas. He's not the right guy. So it would seem to me it would be either Ron or Doug, and something tells me either that or maybe the Detroit Lions guy is available as well. Maybe it is their, I want to say it's their offensive coordinator. And so how do you fix a team that doesn't score? Well, you inject some offense in there. And apparently that guy, being the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, might be available. I just don't think it's going to be him. Jerry wants an established coach, and it just happens to me, I really have that gut feeling saying it's going to be Ron Rivera. Again, what do I know? I know just as much as the next guy, and, well, right now, that doesn't really amount to much. When it comes to the coaching circle, now does it? Anyway, so in the next segment, I want to take a look at the futures odds for all those bettors out there. And we want to do this because there are ways to hedge against the futures betting where I can't say you can guarantee yourself a win, but you could probably get yourself a very high likelihood of a win in the cash department. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere again. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on air that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available specials one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, this segment brought to you in part by our friend Jason Owens, and check him out, folks. JasonOwensMusic.com. For all you country music people out there, listen, we had Jason on the show recently. Big press release came out. It went to, 100 TV stations, radio stations, all over the place. And check it out. In fact, it's all over the place. Just go ahead and do a quick search in your search bar, put Jason Owens Sports Circus, and you'll read about it. In fact, we circulated one of those releases, and that was from ABC News over in Nashville, Tennessee. All right, that's JasonOwensMusic.com. Yes, that's good stuff. A lot of fun too. Had a lot of fun talking with Jason. He's a really cool guy. You know what? His management's cool too. I like his mom and dad. They're cool people. Hey, Jerry, thanks for watching us. All right, again, JasonOwensMusic.com. All right, folks, welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. You know who you are. Everybody's streaming also. Thanks for joining us also on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Make sure you check that group out. Have some fun with it. Post your favorite food, your favorite restaurants, whatever the hell it is. All corners of the earth for all you flat earthers out there. And let's face it, there's some great food that has been influenced by Chicago historically as well. By the way, Chicago is the pizza capital of the world. No, it's not New York. It's not Napoli where it was first put together. The pizza margherita. No, that's not it. They may have invented it or created it over in Napoli, the Napolitans. However, it was brought over to the U.S., that same not so attractive, if you will, pizza, and not so tasty, but the pizza was perfected in Chicago. In case you don't know. And the same thing, of course, that deep dish pizza, was created to make a meal. There's a nice little bit of trivia here. It's actually so you can fork and knife your meal. So it's really a pizza in reverse with the dough and then your toppings and then the sauce on top of it, right? They do that, and the presentation's amazing. Just the deep dish pizza is really good. They say back home in Chicago, they say, well, only the tourists eat that. Oh, hell no. No, the regular people that live there, the residents, whatnot, the locals like deep dish pizza too. So Chicago is known for its deep dish pizza, but more importantly, for its thin cracker crust pizza too. For all you people that like to call it tavern style. No, it's not tavern style. No, it's just referred to as a regular thin pizza. You have thin, you have thick, and you have deep. That's it. There are 3 different types. All right. Now that your pizza lesson is over, we're going to get back into the NFL. We're going to talk about the future odds for winning the Super Bowl. And of course, I had said right after the NFC Championship game last year between San Francisco and Detroit, of course, I felt that game was absolutely fixed. Well, just like the Super Bowl matchup, essentially, in my opinion, is absolutely fixed. It is for the Detroit Lions because they didn't get to the promised land last season because of some unfortunate things on the field. I wouldn't really say that. Look, Dan Campbell had a chance to go up by 3 scores. 3! How convenient that he didn't do it on the road in that last game. And you ask yourself, what really happened there? I don't know.
Show me the money!
Maybe a little bit of that. I don't know. And then it came to, of course, the field goal. This was one of my favorite things. Not many people picked up on this one. And I was watching this game with a Detroit Lions great, Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. God bless Bubba. We like Bubba. Bubba's a great guy. But Bubba was on the show. He and I were talking about this, and I said, listen, Al, don't you think that if your kicker is going to kick, I don't know, a 30-yard field goal, it's a nothing, it's a chip shot, it's basically an extra point. Why was the kicker using the trajectory of a 60-yard field goal? Meaning the shorter kick, the shorter distance, they're going to basically pop it right over the defensive line, offensive defensive line, and put it right through the upright. Distance is not an issue. But when you're kicking for distance, you need to have a lower trajectory. So now this goes back to all you people with geometry, right? So everybody watching on TV, you can see the long field goal goes on a much lower angle, right? So instead of the field goal kick that'd go maybe 45 degrees on the extra point, right? Which here's 90 for everybody watching. Here's 45 essentially. That's the pop right over the offensive line and defensive line. Well, on the long field goal, it is a much smaller angle, probably closer to 30 degrees, something to that effect. With this being 90, this being 30, 30 is easily blocked. Why in the world a professional kicker, that's the only job you have is to kick, and you know that as a kicker, why was it that field goal kicker for that chip shot field goal to go up by yet another time, 3 scores, why is it that kick was kicked with the trajectory of a 60-yard field goal, 55, 60 yards, whatever the hell? Why was that? I'll tell you why. Right, because I believe the wire transfer had already happened. The money had already cleared the account. Oh, and conveniently, that kick was blocked. You may not believe it, but if you go back and watch that game, folks, watch the game. Watch the kick. It was remarkably predictable as to what happened. It wasn't just me. I'm not the only person that saw this. And I'm not even a pro football guy. No, I used to play baseball in my former life. But my point is, when you've seen enough football, I've seen football for over 50 years. I've been watching this. I can actually say that if you know what I mean. But the reality is, when you've seen football to that degree, and I know a lot of kickers that have kicked in the National Football League, and I've asked a few of them about this too. And they said, well, I don't know why he wouldn't just kick it with a higher angle and just pop it right over the line. Well, I don't know either. Somebody please explain that to me. And so I've asked 4 kickers from the league about this specifically. They came back with the exact same feedback that I had. Why did that happen? Well, guess what? Maybe, just maybe, Detroit was promised next year you'll go to the Super Bowl. Against who? Oh, that's right. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Fighting Taylor Swifts, right? And so I believe that is what the matchup will be. And I said this last year, that it was going to be Kansas City winning their 3rd in a row. The first team to ever have a three-peat in the Super Bowl world against the Detroit Lions, who have never been in the Super Bowl before. The last time they won a league championship, I think, was 1957. Something to that effect. It was way back in the 1950s. But my point in all of this is this has already been predetermined. So here we go to the odds. The odds, in my opinion it is anyway, the odds state, believe it or not, that the Detroit Lions are the odds-on favorite, yes, to win the Super Bowl. At MGM, they're plus 275. So they put up $100 to win $275. At Caesar's Palace, they're at 3-1. Put up $100 to win $300. And over at Bally's, it's the same. Put up $100 to win $300. Now, Kansas City is not the favorite, believe it or not. Kansas City at MGM, if they win the Super Bowl, you put up $100, you win $350. Not bad. Over at Caesar's Palace, you put up $100, you win $340. And over at Bally's, you put up $100 to win $350. But the consensus has the Detroit Lions as the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. Folks, it ain't going to happen. It will not happen. First of all, Detroit, even if the game-fixing gods, the money gods, right, if they weren't involved, they don't have the defense to play against the Kansas City Chiefs or even the Buffalo Bills. We've already seen this movie with Buffalo and Detroit. Buffalo went into Detroit and Buffalo manhandled Detroit on their own field. The score was a lot closer than what the real game output really was. I mean, it was Buffalo really running it up on Detroit. Mind you, at their house. So you look at this and say, well, wait, then why is Detroit favored over everybody? I don't know. Philadelphia? Well, with Philadelphia, put up 100, you win 700 at MGM. In Philadelphia, the odds are 440. So you might want to bet that one if you're a Philadelphia fan. You would be betting that one over where? At the MGM properties, because you get a 7-1 over there. And over at Caesars and Bally's, it's about 440 or 475. Almost, it's less than 5-1. Now, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, they're at 6-1 right now at the MGM properties, and they're at just about 5-1 and 4.5-1 at Bally's and Caesars Palace. Buffalo, you get a really good price with a very good Buffalo team. They're 6-1 also at the MGM properties, and Buffalo is just over 5-1 and 5-1 at Caesars and Bally's, respectively. And now if you really want the long odds, Minnesota has a little bit of a ways to go here. Minnesota is 16-1 right now, this very moment, to win the Super Bowl. That's really good. But if you want to hedge your bets, folks, Washington, 35-1. 30-1 at least. If you want to hedge your bets and be smart about it, let's just say you take the top two teams in the odds. That would be Kansas City and Detroit. Detroit at plus 300 at Caesars Palace. And you could bet the Chiefs at 3.5-1. So even if you bet $100 on either one of those, and either one of those two teams wins, you're still going to win $100 for making the bet in the first place on both of those teams. There you go. You heard it right here from Sal the Bookmaker on the Sports Circus. Back here in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Going to shift into college basketball. Back in a few.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Remaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which can be found on all platforms such as Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. One of my favorites is Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Folks, if you don't know what an Italian beef sandwich is, let's give you an idea. You know that awful sandwich you get in Philadelphia called the Philly cheesesteak sandwich? Oh, it's awful. In my opinion, it's terrible. Well, anyway, that's basically a fried sandwich of a low cut of beef product thrown together on a flat top with some onions and peppers, and they slap it on a bun, put some cheese whiz on it, and give it to you and say, here you go. We're not going to give you the Alka-Seltzer with it. However, the Italian beef sandwich is almost like the French dip that you get at your favorite restaurant, but it's all put together for you in a very particular way, and it takes about 20 hours to make the actual beef itself, the top round or bottom round, whichever one they use. I got to tell you, they have their own hot peppers and sweet peppers, and it's called the giardiniera, right? It's the Italian word for essentially vegetables in the garden. But it is so damn good. Check them out at alsbeef.com. They've been around since 1938. alsbeef.com, and tell them your Remaster Sal from the Sports Circus sent you. And if you can't get over there to 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy, check them out at Al's Beef and pick it up at alsbeef.com online. Yes! And I'm not getting paid to say that. I'm saying it because I dig it. It's that good. Childhood favorite, adult favorite. Man, is it good. Get on over there or order it online, whatever. It's really good. All right, college basketball. Gotta love college basketball. You know why? Because everyone gets a shot in college basketball. It's not like this nonsensical college football playoff crap. No. College basketball, and actually Division II football, or I should say the FCS, they got it right. But when it comes to college basketball, everyone gets a shot. I don't care if you're Division I, Division II, whatever it is, everyone can do something there. So, you see, in our top 25 rankings this week, we're going to go all the way to the bottom and work our way up because that's what we do. We're going to start out at number 25. This is according to the Associated Press. Baylor holds the number 25 slot. And, of course, with their latest win, 72-66 over Arizona State, they hold on to that 25th spot. 24th is Wisconsin. The Badgers, with their win at Minnesota, 80-59, catapult them into the 24th position. Nah, they stayed put. Imagine that. You win by 21 points on the road, and you can't get yourself a jump up to at least Georgia. Georgia beats Oklahoma at Oklahoma to remain number 23. Up next for them is Tennessee, a very good Tennessee squad who's ranked 6th. We're going to get to them in a minute. Utah State jumps up 3 slots to number 22 with their win against Boise State on the road. It was a close one. Now Utah State travels right here to Vegas to play the home team here. Utah State might get themselves a win against a pretty good local team here. I don't even want to say their name. That's how much they disgust me. Ole Miss jumps up 2 to number 21 with their latest win at Baton Rouge against LSU, 77-65. Up next for them is Alabama. That would be the 4th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Michigan jumps up 4 slots to number 20 with their win at Washington, 91-75 to go 13-3 overall. Next up for them is Minnesota. Illinois plummets down 6 spots to number 19 with their loss at USC, 82-72. Up next for them is a very good Indiana team. Memphis, the Tigers jump up to number 18 with their latest win against East Carolina on the road, 74-70. Up next for them, well, it is Temple, a very good defensive squad. The Purdue Boilermakers, yes, of course, they always get a nice round of applause from me. Yes! Purdue jumps up to 3 to number 17 with their win, big blowout win at Nebraska. Up next for them is Washington. The Bulldogs, or the Zags, call them what you will, they jump up 2 to number 16 at 14-4 overall with their win at Washington State right there across the river. Boy, that's a nice rivalry over there. Up next to them is Oregon State. Mississippi State drops 1 to number 15 with their loss at Kentucky, a very good Kentucky team. Up next, doesn't get easier for Miss State because now they've got Kentucky at Lexington. That's going to be a tough one at Rupp. Connecticut drops 5 with their win, mind you, against Georgetown, but they had a loss earlier. They're at 13-4 overall. Up next for them, a very, very stubborn Creighton Blue Jays team. And, of course, that one's going to be at home. Oregon goes up number 2 to number 13 with their 1-point win over at Happy Valley, or against Happy Valley, I should say, against Penn State. Up next for Oregon, a very tough Purdue team, and that's going to be at home. Michigan State goes up 4 to number 12. Up next for them is Penn State as well. That's going to be on January 15. Texas A&M drops 1 to number 11 with their loss at Alabama. Up next for them will be Kentucky. That will be tomorrow. Better yet, it will be Kansas. Houston jumps up 2 to number 10 with their win, a 30-point win against Kansas State. Up next for them is West Virginia. The Jayhawks jump up to number 9, 2 slots, with their tough defensive battle, 54 to 40 against Cincinnati. That's one hell of a defensive game. Up next for them, being Kansas, is number 2 ranked Iowa State, and that is at Iowa State. That'll be a very tough one. Now, Kentucky dropped 2 slots, even though they did beat Miss State. Up next for them is Texas A&M, and that's going to be a home game. Marquette stays the same with their last win, 74-66 at Georgetown. Up next for them is the Doormat, and that happens to be DePaul. DePaul out of Chicago, they haven't done a damn thing since they moved to the Big East. DePaul's in big trouble. They do have the current the former Ohio State coach as their current coach, and he hasn't done not too terribly much. I mean, they're winning games, but they're not winning conference games. Tennessee drops 5 slots to number 6. Up next for them is going to be a home game against Georgia. Florida jumped up 3 to number 5 with their win against Arkansas. Up next for them is a tough Mizzou team. Alabama goes up from 5 to 4 with their win against Texas A&M. Up next to them is Mississippi. The Duke Blue Devils, yes, of course, they always get a nice round of applause from me. Yes! How do you like that? Everybody watching on TV, you get a chance to see all my Duke stuff because I did go to school there. And Duke, of course, they beat Notre Dame. And that was at South Bend. Up next for them is Miami, and that's going to be tomorrow. Iowa State, their next game will be a very tough one. Of course, again, that is against Kansas, number 9, who we mentioned earlier, and that's going to be on Wednesday. And number 1 ranked Auburn, despite losing one of their key players, they had a very tough game in that 66-63 win against South Carolina. Up next for them is Mississippi State, and that's going to be at home. That'll be tomorrow. But Auburn is the number 1 ranked team in America. And for all you people listening in Auburn, Alabama, on WAUD, go War Eagle. And a little bit of applause for you guys. And now, we think about these standings, and I don't know. I look at the ACC, and I say, all right, there's a few good squads in there, but really, only 1 ranked team, and that's Duke. That's it. They're ranked number 3. Everybody else is unranked. In the Big 12, you have 4 teams that are ranked. Iowa State, number 2. Houston, number 10. They're in second place. They're all 4-0. Kansas State, or better yet, Kansas is 3-1, 12-3 overall. They're in fourth place in the Big 12, and Baylor ranks number 25, and they're 11-4 overall, 3-1 in conference. The Big East has two teams in the top 25. Marquette, always stable, always good. The Marquette Golden Eagles, they're 5-0, 14-2 overall. And the UConn Huskies, of course, are 5-1 and 13-4 overall. Big Sky's got nobody ranked, just like the Atlantic Sun, just like the Atlantic 10. And moving on, we look at the Big South, has nobody ranked. High Point at 15-4 overall is the number one team. The Big 10, they've got 6 teams with Michigan State, Michigan are both 5-0 in conference. Oregon is 4-2. Purdue is 5-1. They are third in the conference, only by way of one loss in the conference. And then, of course, it's Illinois and Wisconsin, two very good teams out of the Big Ten, also ranked. Over in the Big West, nobody is ranked, but UC Irvine leads the way at 15-2 overall. The Anteaters, got to like that, the Aardvarks of UC Irvine. And then, of course, UC San Diego is in second place right behind them with one conference loss. The Coastal Atlantic with William and Mary leading the way over no ranked teams in the Coastal Atlantic Conference. They're 10-7 overall, 4-0 in conference. Conference USA has nobody as well. Traditionally, a very good conference for basketball. They've got nothing. New Mexico State is in first place overall at 10-6. I don't even understand that one. Middle Tennessee is right behind them. They're the only team that's unbeaten in Conference USA. But boy, how the mighty have fallen. The Horizon League, again, nobody there. And Cleveland State, the once doormat, you could bet against Cleveland State they would never cover. Now, Cleveland State has flipped the script, and they're in first place in the Horizon League. Yes, over all the others, which is kind of a real head-scratcher to me, because really, if you look at it, Wright State was always one of those perennial powers. Over in the Ivy, it's Princeton leading the way at 12-4 overall. They are tied for the lead in the Ivy with Cornell and Yale and Dartmouth, all 1-0, but they have the best record overall, 12-4. Over the Metro Athletic, it's Marist at 12-2 overall, leading the balance of those teams. The Mid-American Conference, lots of good squads over there. Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks are in first over there, tied with the Akron Zips. I can't believe they have the name of Zip. How many games have they won in football? Zip, if you know what I mean. Nonetheless, it is Miami of Ohio, Akron, Ohio, and the Toledo Rockets, one of the more fun names. Those teams are all 3-0 in conference. The Mid-Eastern has Norfolk State in first, only by way of winning one extra game. Missouri Valley, a very good conference. The Bradley Braves are one game ahead of Drake and Belmont and Murray State, the Racers, along with Northern Iowa. Very good teams over there. Mountain West has one ranked team in Utah State, number 22, ahead of everybody. The Northeast, Long Island, the Sharks, 8-11 overall. They're in first place. Imagine that. Ohio Valley has Morehead State in first. Patriot League, Colgate. Yes, Colgate, not the toothpaste, but it's Colgate in first at 6-11 overall. In the Southeast Conference, loaded. Auburn in first, 3-0, 15-1. Auburn, or better yet, it's Alabama, 14-2 in second. Ole Miss, 14-2 in third. Florida in fourth at 15-1. Tennessee in fifth at 15-1. Georgia. Then Mississippi State. Then Wildcats of Kentucky and Texas A&M. Half the damn season, or half the conference is ranked over there in the Southeast Conference. It's ridiculous. The Southland, nothing. Southern, nothing. Southwest Conference, nobody. The Summit League is nobody. Sun Belt, nobody ranked. The West Coast Conference is nobody ranked. And the Western Athletic, led by Utah Valley, has no one ranked either. That's going to do it for the circus. We'll see you next time, folks. So long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and Sterling Silver Report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.